Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the prior meeting. Each of you were given copies of the minutes. The question, are there any corrections or changes to the minutes that have been submitted?
One correction. My last name is P-O-C-I-A-S-K.
Okay.
Because that's the way it sounds.
Okay.
Not offended, just correcting.
P-O-C-I-A-S.
P-O-C-I-A-S-K.
Okay.
You know, it's if you want to pronounce it in Polish, it's Pociask. But if you want to go Posiask, that's fine. That's what everybody, and everybody calls me Wally anyway. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are there any other changes? If not, make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, second was Uda. I mean, Bert, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any revisions to the agenda that have been submitted? If not, we will then proceed with the reports. Wally, anything as far as the township is concerned?
Mr. Chair, the great weekend for the Grosse Ile folks is over. Island Fest is done. And although the weatherman didn't cooperate, everybody else did. I want to extend my congratulations to everyone who worked on Island Fest, because even though the weather was bad, the folks had their hearts into it, and it was a well-organized event. I didn't see any deficiencies this year, and I hope that next year we get better weather because these guys know what they're doing.
Let's hope so. Weather was certainly a detriment.
It sure was.
But it was still successful.
The other things I'd like to comment on is the open space brochure is very nicely done. I'm glad to see you got it printed and passing it around. And that's all I want to say about this time, because we have other things on the agenda that I can cover later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wally. Bert, anything from the Conservancy?
We are having a Kids Discovery event on Sunday, June 13th at the Gibraltar Bay unit of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge. That's over on East River Road, and that starts at 10 a.m. And just wanted to let people know that the Earth Day program that we had at St. James Episcopal Church on Healthy Lawns, that's going to be on GITV starting tomorrow at 3 times a day for the next couple of weeks. So I hope everybody that didn't get a chance to come to the meeting in person does watch it and learns a lot about how to have a healthy lawn.
Okay. Anything else, Bert?
No, that's about it.
Thank you very much. Since the representative, the liaison from the Recreation Committee Recreation Commission is not here this evening, nor the Beautification Commission, we'll just skip by those 2 items, unless, Wally, you have something to add as far as any of these 2 items is concerned. All right.
I can just mention that there is work out right now getting bids to do some repairs to our bike paths and to our bridges. And you will see in upcoming months some of those developments come. They're not ready yet.
All right, let's get to the next item, which is the trail update. And first of all, I'd like to start with the Manchester Trail. And if I could ask Mitch to come up and tell us about what we did, when was it, about a week and a half ago? Yeah.
Okay, sorry, it was turned off. Mitch Lewis, recently me and Mr. St. Pierre walked through the Manchester Trail. with with a contractor on Memorial Day, and we I think got some estimates on what the price will be and how long it'll take. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Mitch?
I don't think so,
Okay.
unless you have anything to say about
Okay,
it.
why don't you stick there for a minute? Mitch was instrumental, by the way, as far as background, in getting this thing started, and quite frankly, getting us off dead center on doing something with this trail. What I've done is as a result of the review that we have had, we've come up with an estimated cost of about $16,000 to do the complete trail. Now, Wally, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the price is $16,000, first of all, it has to be approved by the board, and secondly, we have to go out for competitive bids for this job. So I believe, Wally, correct me if I'm wrong again, just take a look at, there's a package that I have here which outlines some of the items that have to be done, and I am asking approval of our committee to request, go before the township board and request permission to go out for competitive bids for the upgrade and completion of this trail. Wally, any changes?
99% good. We're going to request that the township approve going forth
Yes.
with this proposal, and in turn have them, in fact, go for competitive bids if they approve the concept. And they should.
Okay. Now, let me make sure I understand. If they approve the concept, we'll go out for competitive bids.
Approval of the project itself is one piece.
Yes.
Second piece is how do you pay for the project, and that's where we would request that they allow us to go out for competitive bids. So it's two things. Number one, this is what I want to do. Number two, this is what we think it'll cost, but we know it's going to cost above our bid requirement.
And we can do that at one meeting.
I believe we can.
Okay. So they'll say, for sake of argument, if they give us approval to do that, we will then send the bid packages out to a number of contractors. They will prepare the bids. We will review the bids. We will then select a recommended contractor and then go before the board for final approval
We
of the
will
expenditure.
review the bids and recommend which contractor we would like to see do the job.
Okay.
The township board would in fact actually award that bid, not us.
Okay.
I have a question. How come we didn't go all the way to East River?
But for two reasons. First of all, the big reason was the cost of building a bridge across that ravine.
Put a culvert in there?
I would say no, we can't.
Not for a reasonable cost.
And how big a culvert would you need?
How wide is the,
The ravine, I would guess it's about 10, 15 feet wide.
you'd have to have something probably 6 foot or larger in diameter, and it would have to be 15 or 20 foot long to lay down there, and then you would have to build an approach to both sides of it. It's not just a matter of rolling it in and dropping it in place, you know.
Got this property and it's a waste of time to go to East
Well,
River.
might I chime in?
Yes, please.
No, I wouldn't consider it a waste of anything, because this is supposed to be a fitness trail, and it has a specific length to it, and it'll be markered, and it'll take people from the road down a specific route and bring them right back to where they parked. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking
Okay, where's it
for.
start, on Meridian?
Yes.
Yeah, right on Meridian.
It starts where it starts now, right on Meridian.
Go over the mound. Is that the
Yes.
same one we're talking about?
Yes, you go back to the ravine.
Go over the mound and go in the.
Yeah,
Okay.
just look at the package. I think you've got the package there in front of you, the drawing. You got the drawing?
We didn't get it.
Do you have this?
No.
You have
I
it?
think that's what's sitting in front of me on the screen.
Okay, well,
Same thing as this.
same thing, yes.
Yeah. Again, the main reason we didn't go across the ravine was because of primarily was the cost. And as you pointed out, Wally, this is a loop trail and it'll bring us right back to where we began. Now that's not to say that maybe sometime in the future we may decide jointly to go across the ravine, but not at this time.
Okay, what, stopping, the four-wheelers to run it?
A sign and an ordinance.
A sign?
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Well, it's a question of right now there's a mound. When you look at the entrance, there is a mound that was supposed to design to prevent four-wheelers from going in.
Really?
Yeah.
I doubt that.
Well, the fact remains there's a sign and there's an ordinance that
A lot of people do what the ordinance tells us now. But we'll see.
Okay. So I guess, is there any other discussion? Darrell? No? Bert? Any questions, comments?
So do we have open space on the east side of the ravine
Yes.
along?
Yeah, the area in green is all open space.
Oh, okay. So really it's just an issue of crossing the ravine. And that private bridge is where? Is that
Private-
north of?
Yes.
Okay.
Where the ravine goes north, where it says Grosse Seal Nature Land Conservancy,
Oh, 2/9
Yeah.
interest, right.
that bridge is located approximately where the G is.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes right straight on to Halcyon Court.
Hmm. So if the Conservancy owns 2/9 of that space, and it's not a specific 2/9, I think it's just 2/9 of the totality.
That's what my understanding is.
Could we talk with the Conservancy and say, let's say your 2/9 is there?
Well, I did talk to I call him the coordinator of for the people that own this private tract,
Okay.
asking them specifically if we could use that bridge. And it was a very cordial conversation, by the way. And he said probably not because of the litigation issues going across private property and going across the bridge.
Oh, the possibility for liability.
Liability,
Not
yes.
litigation, but liability.
Liability.
Okay.
So that's why we precluded from going north into that private property.
Do you want me,
I'm
the
sorry.
Conservancy has legal counsel. Do you want me to ask our attorney about that? If there's a way of getting a waiver or something because of the Conservancy's interest, because Conservancy property is open, pretty much the same rules as open space, dawn to dusk and be nice and don't litter and stuff, so.
There's another issue, too, where that bridge is located, and if you look at the map, and if you continue to go directly east, you'll see that little circle, that, where that street dead ends. I think that's Halcyon Court.
Mm-hmm, right.
And it would, that bridge goes across the ravine, and then we would have to go back, possibly double back to open space property before we go to East River.
Right.
That's something that's something that we would have to take a look at, but I think maybe we should take a look at, at a future date.
Okay.
Okay? That's just my opinion. Any other comments? Pat?
No, it's just that I walk that trail, and when you come out there, Bert, to actually get to Halcyon Court, you have to almost go down a person's driveway. And that would not be a good setup, I don't think. Yeah, it goes through, and then you come, like right here, right there is the driveway you have to walk down where the trail ends.
Anything else?
I think that it's well designed. I think it does what we expected it would do originally. I think Mitch did his homework.
Mitch, how many stakes did we use on that?
I can't say exactly. We had like 4 or 5 stacks. We used all of them.
One of the things I might want to add is that when you look at this trail, when you start off at the entrance and make the loop going north, that trail exists in some form now. It's not a very good trail, but it does exist.
It does exist.
The area to the north, where it loops back, is all virgin forest.
Yes.
So that trail is going to have to be cut,
Yes.
and we're going to have to really construct that trail.
Are there any plans on what to do with the trees that are cut?
I would imagine that the trees, and again, Mitch, chime in here if I'm incorrect. When we reviewed that trail, it was the trees would have to be cut. Are all dead trees laying down. We did not have to. We avoided having to cut any live trees.
I think after talking with the contractor, he said if there are any trees that we have to cut down that aren't completely rotten, we could use them to sort of line the trail to make it more like an outline so you could see where you're going better than just seeing where the trees end.
That's a good idea, but we tried doing that at the nature sanctuary, and people seem to think it's a good idea to always remove them. So we spend a lot of time putting them back.
Yeah.
Maybe we could just line it with e-waste.
Yeah, to answer your question, I cannot, the only trees that would be cut would be those that are dying or dead, that are leaning across the trail and creating a safety hazard, or trees that have fallen that are across the trail.
It's very kind that you had a contractor willing to take a walk with you when he fully realizes that he's going to have to still bid for this. All right? That's the way the township works. That's the way people expect us to work. And so
Yeah.
the price may come in higher, it may come in lower, but it'll be the price that the township board agrees is the best price.
You don't have to take bids high and low.
You don't have to take any high or low bid. You have to take the best bid.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes
Best
in
cost.
with a $3,000 bid but has no insurance, he can't bid.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to qualify. But again, I think you're well along the way. This can happen, and it'll be up to me to get it on the next township board meeting, which is this coming Monday, and they're going to hate me for that. But we'll put it on there, or try to put it on there as a discussion item, and let them know that the next township board meeting, we will be asking for permission to go out and bid. So you're going to have 30, 45, 60 days between now and then.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood. I thought that with, let's say for sake of argument, that we are on the next township board meeting. At that time, they can give us permission to go out for a competitive bid.
I didn't know that we were on it. I will look up the agenda.
We're not on the agenda.
If we're not on the next agenda, we're not on the next township board meeting. We would have to add ourselves.
Yes, in other words,
So the way it works for these sorts of things, number one, You don't let this township board, or any township board, walk in and say, I want to do this, can you approve it right now? You have to present it as a discussion item. A discussion item lets people know what we're doing and why. If they want to go out and look at it with somebody, they can.
Mhm.
But, a discussion item implicates that the next meeting, we're going to be asking for permission to go out for bids to do this. And then the meeting after that, hopefully we'll have our bids back. And then those bids will be opened by the township, presented at the following board meeting. And so we're at least
So
three meetings down
So
the
we're
road.
3 meetings required to get this
At least
thing
three,
done.
yes.
1, to present it to them. 2, after they have a chance to digest it and ask questions and review and analyze and so on and so forth. Then we go back and we ask permission to go out for competitive bids.
Correct.
Then when we get the bids, then we review the bids, and then we go back and say, this is the recommended award for the bid, and get them to approve it, and then we can go ahead and start construction.
Bids do not come to you or to the board, or to the...
They don't?
No, they go to the township clerk.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
No said. Okay. But they go to the township clerk, but we should be the ones to review them.
Well, you certainly will review and recommend.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
No, all bids go to the township clerk.
So, June, July, it's the earliest we can get this thing awarded and to begin work would be August.
Probably, and that's if we get on our horse now, yes.
Okay, all right. I'd like to begin by asking for a motion to approve this proposal and to begin the process at the next board meeting, if possible, for this item to be added to the agenda for discussion purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I think we're ready. Mitch, do you clearly understand now that it's going to take 3 meetings at the township board to get this thing done?
Of course, however long it takes, I'm willing
Yeah.
to wait.
Well, we're going to have to persevere on this, and I think we have to, and hopefully you can be there for us to help us get this thing approved.
Of course.
And again, I'm repeating, but thank you very much for all the help and all the work that you put into this project for us.
Of course, thank you.
Okay. Wally, just one question. See what you can do about getting it on for discussion purposes in the next agenda.
Noted.
Okay. Pat, the wildlife sanctuary.
We are waiting for the garden club to put all the summer flowers in at the entry to the wildlife sanctuary. They were planting today. I gave Ted the heads up that probably this week we'll be able to go down and tape the new beautified summer garden. We'll add that into our video, and I would say within 2 weeks we should be able to have it live.
Wonderful news. Good news.
Oh, and by the way, the Michigan Forestry Association is interested in it, and they would like to be able to link it onto their webpage.
That'd be good advertisement for us.
Right.
Excellent. And the chips, we're going to try and get that done this Sunday if that's possible.
And that's June 7th.
7th.
Can I ask you a question? Why don't you have a contractor spread all those chips?
Because, well, last year we had volunteers from St. Thomas Lutheran Church spread the chips. And they did an excellent job, and they've been willing to do it again this year. So,
It seemed like there was some difficulty in getting volunteers, to me. I haven't been able to help, and, we are...
well, that's why we went outside,
numbers.
to get it.
And if you've got somebody that's willing to do them at this point, That's fine, let's do it, but let's not wait until such time as we can't spread them anymore. Let's see what an outsider would
Well,
charge us to do
quite
it.
frankly, this is probably the earliest we could, given the condition of the trails and the wet conditions, so,
It's like getting volunteers for Island Fest.
yeah.
Yep.
Pat, is there anything else as far as?
That's all on the wildlife sanctuary.
Okay. Darrell, Centennial Farms.
Okay, the trail in there is severe wet, and Pat and Cliff are going to help me spread some chips on the low areas of it, but we can't do anything as far as it goes right now with it being so wet.
So first dry spell we get, we're going to get out there and spread the trees.
Yeah, we're going to repair the low spots and see if we can get the trail repaired there.
Great.
We've got 2 loads there now.
No, I don't mean that after the load is there.
Well, we want to keep the trail narrow. We don't want it real wide. So we're going to do it with my tractor.
You're gonna have to get,
Right, I've got a tractor with a loader on it.
yeah, right.
Yeah, Darrell wants to demonstrate his process.
I want to demonstrate
Okay, good.
how we can do it real fast with 2 people or 3.
Okay, so Darrell, as soon as it dries up, we're going to be out there.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good to me.
Good, okay. All right, the next item is the playscape. There's a load of chips sitting in front there of that area, and I've contacted the youth group from Sacred Heart, and I think that first they've been expressed a willingness to spread those chips on the playscape, and so we're going to try to schedule that around the June 17th. Should be dry by that time, so we can get out there and spread the chips on the playscape. Okay, at this time, are there any public comments that have to be made? I think. If not, we'll move ahead. As far as the wood cutting suspension is concerned, Woody, are we ready to rock and roll on that was it July?
Yeah, until they can extend it too. They can extend the time.
Okay.
So we really don't know if it's July 15th or whenever 15th.
Who's going to, the state?
DNR.
Okay. Now, will we have to notify those people that started cutting to, at the time and date that we suspend, in other words, we can lift the suspension, should we call them, let them know that,
Well, email them or call them. It's
We
all-
have an email list that I send out any kind of information
Okay.
about that. And we would send it through the email list, and then we would have Ted put it on his webpage as an alert or news flash or something.
okay, great.
I think
That
we
seems to
should
be
wait
working.
till fall on the wood cutting. We'd get more prospects.
Well, but the way it's set up now, the way we've revised it, people can request to come in and do it. We're still going to have the fall.
At the request.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we'll still have the planned fall one if it's lifted.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
good.
And that means then the people on private property could start also.
Sure.
Okay, Pat, what about letters to the, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The open space guide. Bert? Yeah, you can if you wish. Or just give it to, or they've left. Okay.
Oh, they're gone.
Okay, so hot off the presses is the updated version of the Natural Areas brochure. It was last published in 2012. And so we partnered with the Groseal Nature Land Conservancy, the Michigan DNR, and the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge to cover every natural area on Groseal. And so the second and third pages have a map that shows the island and the natural areas and who they belong to.
No.
It's kind of good background music for the natural areas brochure. Oh, did I touch something?
That sounds nice, that'd be nice music.
Started some kind of playback.
Oh, I didn't even touch that.
Yeah, right. Very good.
There we go.
Make it clear.
Find that
Yeah, a
right?
little focus there. That was probably something that I could do.
On Golden Pond, I think that'd be more.
That's probably about as good as we're going to get, right about there.
Yeah, that's fine. I just
Make it clear.
I don't think.
no.
No.
That's about as clear as it's going to get. So I'll just.
It's just, you're not supposed to read it.
You'll have to
There,
move
that's
it.
better.
You'll have to move it from section to section.
Okay. So it goes through the open space and conservancy owned properties, and then the DNR islands, Celeron and Stony. The 3 units of the refuge that are on Groseal, which is the Gibraltar Bay unit on East River, Sugar Island, and Calf Island. There's some information to help residents understand the difference between open space and the conservancy, which I think is something that's confusing, particularly to new residents. There's contact information and rules of conduct for all the natural areas. And then on the back, just a quick checklist for people, some things that they might see if they venture out into these natural areas. So we printed 2,500 copies. We did not print one and mail to every resident like the 2012 version. We were being financially conservative and figured that people would be able to find these at the Township Hall, at Kroger, and also at the hardware store. Though it will also be posted as a PDF on the Township website. So people should be able to access that, and we'll also be sending them to new residents. So hopefully this will be a useful piece of information that will last, have a shelf life for a few years until maybe more property is acquired or something conservancy expands or something like that. But right now we wanted it to be a very useful guide for people.
We also had it at the Island Fest this
Oh, right.
weekend, didn't we? Yeah.
Right, so people who ventured out in our Soggy Island Fest were able to pick those copies up, and we did get good feedback at the Conservancy booth about that. And I think it was also at the Bike Path group.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to thank you and Cliff, Bert, for all the work you did on that. I think this is something we've needed to be updated for a while, and I think we're doing well by putting it out and helping people understand the jewel that they have here on Grosse Ile.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that. And, yeah, I think the more people know about what's out there, then the more they'll use it and appreciate it. Ooh. Very cool, high-tech stuff we have here.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Bert. The next item is the letters to the new residents. Pat?
We had 15 letters go out to new residents, and the letters included this wonderful brochure. Again, I was asked by the Michigan Forest Foundation to send them a copy, and I have put that in the mail.
Get to push the button here. The next item on the agenda, of course, is the oak wilt update. Pat, can you talk to us about that for a minute?
Yes, I'm very happy with the progress that we're making on this. When I started looking at the plan on how we would go around this, I thought of, first off, we know where specifically there are red oak trees, and that's on the wildlife sanctuary. So that is an easy solution. We have some of the red oaks marked, and we can just make sure that the people who walk it, which I have a pretty well good idea on it, will look for that. So that situation is covered. The next group that we need to work with are the individual landowners who should probably know what trees are on their property, and we can work up a way of working with them. The third aspect of it is what about all the other trees in the open space as well as on Grosse Ile? I've had a very good response from the Michigan Forest Foundation. They have a group of volunteer foresters that I have been put in contact with. What I would like to do, if you concur, is to have these individuals come down. They do it free of charge. They, at least at this point, are willing to come down for a day to go over Grosse Ile and identify the areas where we would have red oak trees, so that then we could set up a way to monitor them to see that they are healthy and do not get infected. When I was first looking at the approach to this, and we had said we would bring them to the township and train them, and I thought, whoa, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I have difficulty myself finding them when you're walking through a bunch of trees. So I took the approach of having really experts identify the areas where we have them, and then it would be much easier for us to then just monitor their health.
Okay.
With your approval, I'll proceed with this three-pronged approach.
Well, my comment is go ahead. Any comments? Any other comments?
No comment.
Bert?
Would it help if we, let's say we had a stencil of an oak tree, of an oak leaf, and then spray painted it red, onto the bark, so that we would know the oak tree's so that we'd be able to monitor them more easily.
Yeah, once we found them, I think that's a good idea. No, but you've got to know where it is to look at it and see if it's healthy or
Is
not.
in areas that have wilt, and wilt summer.
One of
Yes.
the ways that you recognize oak wilt disease is by a clump of dead oak trees. Right?
Well,
And
that's when it's advanced, yeah,
that's when it's happening, and that's when you need to really take action,
right.
because this travels underground through the root system. The oak trees'
Right.
roots interrelate.
That's why
to
you
each
have
other.
to do a trench around,
Correct.
right.
So what Bert is telling you is you have to recognize some of the signs, some of the that are. We can walk through the woods here and find dead trees. Many
Right.
of them are not oaks.
Right,
Right.
So helping to identify what an example oak tree is a good idea, and give us an example of a healthy one, and maybe a picture of some of the leaves from oak wilt.
well, I've researched and I have a lot of training aids that have the bark, healthy bark, non-healthy bark, all of that. But the key is finding the red oak tree.
We agree. And
So,
and
Once we find them, we can mark them and then continue to monitor them.
And just so that we can tie this stuff together so that everybody can understand the whole concept, I requested initially to stop the wood cutting because oak wilt can be found in dead oak trees lying on the ground.
Right,
So if you disturb them, you will cause them to propagate to healthy oaks. So we wanted to just stop the activity if possible. Nothing's done in open spaces on a large-scale basis. Periodically, we'll get a person that walks through it, but there's no parades, So
right.
disturbing this atmosphere or this area as little as possible just diminishes. And if we had people come in and start cutting trees, we would just exacerbate a problem. So that was the reason for getting the moratorium on cutting put in place until July 15th or so, when that season is about over.
Yeah. Pat, when would these people be coming in, or when would you like to have them come in?
Right now, we're looking at the first 2 weeks of July.
Okay.
And therefore, that would leave the last 2 weeks of July to implement another phase of it.
And how many people would be coming down to review, any idea?
Not yet. They're having their board meeting tomorrow,
Okay,
and I am supposed to get a 9 a.m. phone call on Thursday.
okay. Well, keep us appraised, and I'm sure all of us would be willing to help or assist in this effort. Really, yeah. In other words, they probably want to go through maybe some of the larger open space areas. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So,
good.
all right. Keep us informed then.
And we
Will
should
do.
give them lunch or dinner or something, and
I'm giving them lunch and dinner, and if they need an overnight, because they're coming from Lansing, they have my 2 guest rooms.
oh, okay.
Oh, wonderful.
They're rather willing to come. They can use the jet ski and kayaks and whatever. I enticed them a
Lured
little.
them here.
Nothing like a little bribery.
All right. The next item is the forestry trailer for there's the big event on August 22nd. We're going to have the bikers come
Right.
through, and are we still on tap for that?
99% on TAC. They're having the board meeting tomorrow. It'll be 100%, I hope, by Thursday, 9 a.m.
Okay.
Wally, this is a big item. It's 17 feet long and 10 feet tall,
We have
the
a nice-
trailer.
We have a nice place to park it.
We do?
Sure, right next to the gazebo.
It'll fit
On
there.
the outside of the gazebo.
And do we have electricity? If not, they can
There is
fix it
electricity
otherwise.
at the gazebo.
Okay, good.
So it'll be parked at the gazebo then.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll probably be singing too, so that'll add a lot of electricity.
I'm sure it will.
Now here's the interesting part. I explained to them what the event was and everything, so they customize it, what's on the inside, and they're going to customize it for children and adults. They're going to have hands-on goodies in there for the children. And they are also going to, because I said many people have their property backing up to open space, they are going to have a section for private homeowners on how to monitor and observe the wooded areas in back of them. And they also are going to send someone down to sort of check out the island so they can customize it more.
Very good.
So that's where we are. And it is free, but we do have to pick it up. And it weighs a lot. Grand Rapids. And I already talked to Dave Ream, and he said that we would be provided a truck to go up and get it.
Okay.
Wonderful.
This is, I'd like to just chime in here right now because it seems appropriate. The event on August 22nd is growing to be very large. As you know, we got excited about it last year with just Walk the Path. This is an event that can really make this committee shine, it can make the Bike Path Committee shine, and it can make the Recreation Department shine if we take advantage of it. So it takes some cooperation between all of us to get that maximum exposure at this event. This event is going to be a place where people on foot or people on bicycles can come and get a glass of lemonade and a hot dog and just celebrate with their neighbors a beautiful community that we live in. While they're there, they can watch, and I've been told now that there are at least 100 baradeurs signed up to do the 100-mile race, which means they are coming to Grosse Ile. Because in order to do the 100 miles, you got to come to Grosse Ile. So that'll be 100 bicyclists. And, 20 miles an hour on a bicycle is breakneck speed. So it ought to be a real treat to watch. Those baradeurs are going to stop and have a lemonade and a hot dog with us, perhaps, but most of them are going to be flying down the business district and going down East River and learning about our island by riding on it. A different perspective, right? Bringing more people aware of what Grosse Ile is all about. Now, when you couple that with the island-wide garage sale, which is occurring on the same day, and we have this trailer on the same day, this is an event. This is an event. And the nicest thing about this event is that anybody can come and nobody has to pay anything. So there isn't an excuse for monetary. Bring your kids. Bring your friends. Come and join us and celebrate all of the facets of Grosse Ile. We got a lot of them at show there.
Now, are they riding the 100 miles in one day?
Yep.
Really? Because my grandson brought a bunch down from Hillsdale, and it took them 2 days.
Well,
And they're pretty young. I mean, they're in their 20s. Wow.
Well, this is quite the event.
How long do they think it'll take them to go 100 miles?
It'll go all day. It'll go all day from 8 in the morning where it starts up on the Upper East Side down to...
So they won't be getting here till early evening, right?
Early afternoon or
Early
evening,
afternoon,
yeah.
okay.
Grosse Ile is the end of the trail. If you go on the internet, just type in Wayne State Barodeur, and it'll show you the route.
Wayne State what?
Barodeur, Barodeur.
What's that mean?
Barodeur is a warrior in French,
really?
and Wayne State's theme is of warriors. We used to be Tartans, but now we're warriors.
Oh, you're a
Our new
grad.
president has come up with a catchy idea by calling them in French a warrior, which is a barodeur. A barodeur is in it for himself, right? He's going to press the limits. He's going to go as fast as he can to get as much as possible.
Is this going to be on the website? So that, I mean, it probably is on the website, but I think we got to spread the word around with either.
Now that Island Fest is over, we're going to start in earnest.
Okay, so we really got to do a lot of PR on this August 22nd event. So,
I've got Jane Fiegel volunteer to give us a brochure and a page on GITV. We've got a lot of promotional stuff coming from Wayne State. We got a lot going on.
I have some concerns about the safety. I mean, riding on East River is, you can't, you know, it's a bumpy ride on a good
Where are you
day.
coming from?
Oh, I know. Well, actually, Detroit is getting to be a biking city.
Well, it is.
Probably a lot better than Grosse Ile for surface roads.
Well, we'll be okay.
Okay. I mean, the garage sale and everything, people are looking at the houses.
I didn't think of that.
Well, I mean,
Well, we could all just go in our garages and hide too. So let's not look at it that way. People ride bikes every day in Detroit and in all the communities, and they're smart bicyclists. These are not kids that bought a bike on Thursday and are going to ride 100 miles on Saturday.
right, that's true.
They know what they're doing.
They ride defensively. Every bicyclist has to do that.
And we're going to be going north up East River, which is the important route to go. That's the better surface.
South of Meridian?
Coming south on Meridian, yes.
You're not gonna go to West River, right?
They're going to come Grosse Ile Parkway to Meridian. They're going to turn left on Meridian, go to Macomb, make a right, and go through the business district to East River, take the route left or north on East River to Horse Mill, and then Horse Mill back to Meridian, and your final stretch will be the run from Horse Mill to Grosse Ile Parkway and then back off the island. Great route.
So are we gonna have the road done by then on Horsemill?
Which road?
Horsemill?
I don't know that. I don't have an answer for that, let's put it that way.
Al's asphalt. Got you, parts of the road. Could do the chip and seal.
I'd have to find that out. Matter of fact, we're going to a meeting next Tuesday to find that out. Well, it's a long way to August too, so.
A long way up, but it comes up real fast.
Okay, we have about 3 more items left on the agenda, so maybe we can get to those. I believe at the last meeting, I think Woody mentioned the fact that maybe we need some more hands on the Open Space Committee in order to spread the workload out a little bit. I know that Art is not here, and without him, that does tighten things up a little bit. I did some checking with the clerk's office, and in order to increase the number of open space or members on any committee or commission, we have to first of all approach via an item on the agenda to the township board to request permission to amend the bylaws to increase the number of members on the committee to achieve the objectives and goals that we wish to achieve. The township board would then review our request and then make a decision to either approve or reject that request. That's the procedure that one would have to go through. So, having said that, I'd just like to open it up for discussion as far as the increasing maybe by 2 members of the Open Space Committee. And I'd like to start off to the left here. Darrell?
I think we should increase it by 1. What do you think?
Well, okay, you say increase it maybe by 1.
By 1.
Okay.
By 1 member.
Bert, any questions or any alternatives to that?
I don't know if we want to bring up open space too much in front of the board. I'll just leave it at that.
There was was that again?
I'm just wondering whether we want to take open space before the township board too much.
Pat, any comments?
Well, I'm changing my comment based on what Bert said. I'm going to ask Wally, is it a good idea? I don't know what the guidelines are for the creation of a committee or a commission, if there's like a standard, it's best to have X number, or how this number was met.
Commissions or committees normally have an odd number of members.
That's what I
So
thought.
that way it does solve the, tie votes. But there is no, some of them have 5 and some of them have 9. And
Okay.
My only, if you're asking my opinion, I think if we're all here every meeting, we don't need any more. That's, my opinion. And Art, I will make an exception for Art as long as he's around. Now, if he ever wants to come back again after, and he's been ill, God bless him, he's fighting it every step of the way. I talked to his wife just this last weekend. She says, you know what he's most grumpy about? And I said, what? She said, he can't go out and plant anything. And that's bothering him. But he's still got fire. He's frail. But if God willing, Gart lets him come back here, I will hold that chair vacant, and I recommend we do, for as long as that's necessary. But, if you want to add 2 more, I don't know that bringing it up in front of the township board is an issue or not. I don't.
If we add 2 more, would that give us an odd number?
You go from 7 to 9. See, we have 6. Actually, we have
6 now
we have
because
6
of the
right now
absence.
because if we had to make a vote and we were split,
Right.
we'd end up with a tie.
I just vote twice then.
So if we went,
You're from Chicago, is that right?
if we went one
Really
more,
vote
that
often.
would give us the odd number.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 instead of.
Speaking for myself, I know the number and the amount of open space that's been assigned to me to have oversight on. I do not do a good job overseeing all the land I've been given to oversee.
You can-
Basically, I zeroed in on the wildlife sanctuary.
Mhm.
And the others, maybe once a year, they all get looked at. Only one time have I been able to do all of them twice.
Well, if that's your point, then you would, sounds to me like you would have to recommend 2, because Art counts as 1,
Correct.
all right? And right or wrong, I'm going to let him be absent every meeting. But the rest, no.
I personally like to do a good job when I'm given an assignment,
Exactly.
and I am not doing the good job I would like to do.
Well, but you got the heart and you got the dedication. If you're here every meeting and you're doing what you say you're going to do, you can't do anything about what other people do. Right?
No, right.
But we've been here some days when we've had 3 people and 4 people, and that committee is non-functional. So we need to, everybody dedicate themselves. If you're going to be on this committee or on any commission or committee, one of the things says, I'll be there. That's what you're committed to. So if you want to add people, you have to add 2, based upon what I said. If you don't, we're going to have 7, and one of those 7 is going to be held in absentia, and that's not according to the township's rules regarding absenteeism. People are absent. They're to be asked to resign their position. And if anybody else does that, me included, I would accept that you would tell me, resign your position. I'm going to be here.
Was it automatic?
Okay.
You don't come for three meetings, you got to.
3 meetings in a row, we can remove you automatically.
Woody, do you have any comments on this? You brought it up originally that we need more help.
Yeah, we do need more help. But if we count, we'll say Art, that's 6.
Hmm.
And we order 2 more, will be 8. Correct?
9.
Wally, because he's a liaison.
Oh, Wally's a
You
member.
call me, I'm a voting member.
He's a voting member, yeah.
Oh, yes,
Okay, so we have 6 when
Yes.
we have 7.
yes.
Wally,
Okay,
yeah.
Mark's not here, but
Yeah, Wally is a
he'll be
full-fledged
back.
member.
So
Yeah.
that's 7, 2 is 9, okay. That's fine. We need some
Leah
people
is
to
a-
help us
is a
out
liaison.
out in the yard.
Well, you got a point. But, you know, if you get 2 more and they show up 3 times in a year, you haven't gotten anything. So screen your applicants carefully. Make sure they understand what they have to do.
Yeah, remember that, Darrell.
I haven't commented yet, so,
Time for comments over.
My comment's over.
one of the things that I think, Woody, the reason you brought it up was because there's a lot to be done, and we're underhanded. In other words, we're understaffed. We've talked about the Friends of the Open Space for some time, and without going through the procedures and that to request additional members, I would like to maybe propose that each of us search 1 or 2 friends or acquaintances or people that would like to help us with specific projects and try the Friends of Open Space approach, which would preclude any involvement with the township board. They would be non-voting, but they would just be extra hands to help us with special projects.
As they call
We
volunteers.
have several of those people now. We have several on the dump to junk, come and help all the time, but they're not a board member.
I would think, and that's a good point, Wally. Yes, Woody, you're right. I also think that we should get some residents to help us do a better job of surveying the overseeing the open spaces and working on special projects. So I don't think we're going to solve it here tonight, but I think it's something that we should,
It's kind of like pushing a chain,
yeah,
okay?
we should think about. And I know, Pat, I think you brought the Friends of Open Space up a number of times, and I think we should really just take a hold and go out and ask some specific people to help us.
I've been doing research on this because I never like to jump into something
Yeah.
until we've got a good plan. One of the reasons I haven't proceeded on this is because I've been busy with all of this other stuff.
Yeah.
Every time I go on a trip or whatever, I go on their trails, I find out how they maintain the trails and all of that. So I'm building a concept on how to do this. But unfortunately, I don't have the time to pull this together with all this other that's going on. I think this is a good approach because I think you can get people to volunteer to play in the woods faster than you can get them to come to these meetings. Personally, I would rather go play in the woods. But we do have to, if we're going this way, make it a meaningful experience for the volunteers, an organized experience, and make them feel that they're doing something good and not wasting their time. We need to pull it together.
I agree. Any other comments?
But I like your idea.
Well, certainly, you've done more than your share of work on this thing, and I'm not saying for one moment that you should be doing this. I think one of us, other folks, should take the bull by the horns, call maybe 5 or 6 people up, and ask them, we need your help on specific projects. Woody has got a good crew of people with the dump the junk. And I think what we do need is some friends of open space. And if there's anybody watching on TV, We need maybe about 4 or 5 people to help us do a good job of overseeing the open spaces and letting us know what needs to be done, helping us from time to time with chips or other activities, maybe a couple of hands here and there when we need help. And that might be an approach maybe we want to start first. So I'll take it upon myself to start this process going by researching some people that live next to open spaces to see if they would be interested, maybe coming to a meeting, deciding what open space they'd like to survey, outlining to them what we expect them to do. Any comments on that, Bert?
Well, Cliff, I'm wondering if what you just proposed is premature compared to what Pat just said. What I gathered from Pat is that before we start soliciting people to be friends, we should have a program developed for what we expect them to do, how we're going to recognize them so that it's a meaningful thing and not kind of haphazard. Is that what you were saying?
Correct.
That's an excellent point.
So I don't think we're ready to roll out a program. I mean, I don't want to desperately start asking people willy-nilly and not have something developed that's a little more concise.
There's no quarrel with that whatsoever. We'll develop a plan and review the plan, make sure it makes sense, and then contact some people.
I think
there's no question about that. That's an excellent point.
I think by next year we should be able to roll this out, because we've had a lot of one-time events going on this year.
That we have, yes.
All of a sudden we got extremely active this year. But I think next year we would probably be ready to roll it out. If you think we could wait that long.
Let me give you an example of something that I'm following this thought process. We need help for dump the junk, and we complain about not getting help for dump the junk after the event. We need to get out there ahead of time and ask people in the newspaper and on television and through the internet system. This is a big event here. If you think you can give us a couple of hours of your time, can you volunteer for this event? If we approach this August 22nd date on August 21st, we're going to be in trouble. So a lot of this is pre-planning. So both of you ladies have basically said the same thing, as I understand it. You better give people an objective before you ask them to, charge. We don't want to run in circles. We want to have an event that people are going to buy into ahead of time. And, I can see Woody asking in the spring or the next time we have a dump the junk event, getting 15 or 20 seconds on GITV. I need help. Can you come down and help me? Please call me or send me an email. And that's all it takes. This community's got a lot of volunteers, but they don't know what we do. I think if we explain what we want to do and then ask for help, you'd be surprised. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, let's take that approach then. I agree.
Whoops.
Ahead of time.
Now, on those lines, we did put on our open space area something about if you want to be on our communications newsletter. And I have had 3 people who are planning to move to Groseal this summer already contact me and say they want to be on our little news. It's not a newsletter. It's just, if there's going to be something, I send it out to them. And so it's starting to grow.
Those are called candidates.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
thinking.
That's
so
exactly
we are,
right.
whether we know it or not, I think we are building I know that, and I think Woody will back me on this, the people who on a regular basis come and cut the firewood, they're asking, are you going to plant new trees in the woods? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? They're showing an interest in working in the open space to maintain it. When I was speaking to the Michigan Forest Foundation, they told me that there is a training course that they offer on forestry stewardship and management. And I told them to send me the information on that. So I'm hoping that will give us ideas on how to set up a real plan on getting people to meaningfully maintain and have real stewardship of this area that we have. So, you know, it looks like we're not really working on getting the Friends going, but in a way we are.
Look at Mr. Lewis.
Right.
He is a gung-ho supporter of what we're doing.
Right.
And he's going to satisfy his Eagle Scout requirement, but he's got an interest. And there's many more Lewises in that school.
Yeah, but you have to expand that with his parents and the friends who accompanied them, me, and our contractor on the trip through the woods to stake it out for the trail.
So what I'm saying is that it all takes lead time. That's my only comment. You can't just start it the day before.
And to Pat and Bert's point is that we've been very, very busy with some one-time events, you know, such as the Open Space Guide. This trail is turning into a chore and a half, and of course the woods, the wood cutting, and trying to do something with the Centennial Farm Trail. That's been a job and a half. So I think we got to just step back and say, what do we really want in terms of we need additional hands, and what do we want them to do, and give them an opportunity once we have that all settled down, then to go out and start seeking some volunteers.
I can see, for example, Zach Lewis being the lead guy constructing this trail with minimal support from us.
It's Mitchell Lewis.
I'm sorry, Mitch Lewis.
Yeah.
You know, you got help right under your nose, and he's got 10 buddies at the school that I'll bet he could talk into help.
Well, the thing about that trail is that when you walk through it, it takes equipment, big time, and it takes expertise, and it takes time. Not time, but you can't have 20 guys with wheelbarrows and pitchforks. You need some big-time equipment in there.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he's got the vision.
Yeah. Well, that's why he was kind of drawn into this thing. That's why we drew him in.
And there's other kids that like to do things like that,
Yeah,
too.
so.
We have places where if you just identify what you want done ahead of time, odds are we'll get a volunteer or two. I believe that.
Well,
I'd be glad to pitch it that way at township board meetings. You know, I'm not bashful about talking.
yeah. Well,
Really.
why don't Wally, maybe you and I, maybe just sit down and put some thoughts down on a sheet of paper of maybe what some of the things that should be done. At least get the thing going very slowly. I mean, we're not going to jump into it. We're saying, what do we really need, and how do we approach with friends, or do we ask various community groups? In other words, we got the folks from St. Thomas.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Find the objective and then build backwards.
Yeah.
Find what you want to do, and then we'll staff it that way ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to St. Thomas School and saying, I need 20 volunteers for a project that I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Well, we asked them for, we asked, like, for St. Thomas, for example, we asked them for a specific item on a specific date for a specific period of time. That's what we did.
Objective with a time frame.
And it was successful. And the same thing with Sacred Heart. Specific time, objective, and specific activities. Okay. Any other comments along this line? Okay, there was two other items, and I think we can get through with them rather quickly. There was a suggestion made of of having wood mulching for dump the junk programs, and I think there's some issues there with that.
Now,
So,
there are two issues. Number one is noise, and
Okay.
number two, danger of the machinery running in the
Okay.
proximity of people.
so it's something we should not consider for.
Not even for pay should we have a machine
Third, you're
there.
gonna get it jammed, and then how do you take it apart?
Yeah.
It's a good idea to mulch wood, but it's a bad idea to mulch wood in the midst of 50 people.
Okay, now I don't know what the oak, well, we already talked about that. That
Yep.
was what we're going to do. So I'll just start. Is there anything else you want?
Nothing else.
I have nothing else. Bert? Pat?
I'm done.
Okay. Woody?
None.
Wally?
Some extra
Oh, I'm done.
Okay. Somebody make a motion
Fine.
motion.
to adjourn? All those in favor? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll see you next month.